People lose things all the time. We lose keys, phones, and in my mother's case, her mind. Anyway, most of the time, we just write these things off and buy a new one. However, you can't write off any of the items in today's list. Though some of these items are probably lost forever, it hasn't stopped some treasure hunters from looking for them. Find out more as we give you 15 of the most wanted lost things in the world. Number 15. The Amber Room. The Amber Room is one of those lost treasures that must have been a sight to behold. It was constructed in the 18th century in the Catherine Palace in Tsarkoe Selo, just a stone's throw away from St. Petersburg, Russia. The Amber Room was the epitome of opulence and contained gold-gilded mosaics, mirrors, and carvings, along with panels constructed out of about 1,000 pounds of amber. Unfortunately, though, Hitler came and ruined all of that, much as he does. Tsarkoe Selo was captured by Germany in 1941 during World War II, and the room's panels and art were disassembled and taken to Germany. They haven't been seen since, and it's possible that they've now been destroyed. Although a recreation of the Amber Room can be seen today in the Catherine Palace, but nothing can beat the original. Number 14. The HONJO MASAMUNE Sword. There are many renowned swords in Japanese history, but nothing comes even close to the legend that is the HONJO MASAMUNE. It's said to have been created by the swordsmith Goro Nyodo Masamune, considered by many to be the greatest sword maker in Japanese history. It is named after one of its owners, Honjo Shiganaga, who took it as a prize after a 16th century battle. The sword came into the possession of Tokugawa Ieyasu, a leader who became the first shogun of Japan, after winning a series of wars in the 16th century. The sword would be passed down through the Tokugawa family until the end of World War II during the American occupation of Japan. The sword was confiscated by the Americans along with all other swords, fearing that they would be used as weapons against the Americans. It is possible that American soldiers destroyed the sword, along with other captured Japanese weapons. That or they might have brought it back to America as a souvenir, meaning it could be rediscovered. Number 13. The Crown Jewels of Ireland. Stolen in 1907 from Dublin Castle, the Crown Jewels of Ireland weren't actually crown jewels in a sense. The collection didn't even have a crown actually, nor is it connected with any coronation ceremony. Rather, they comprise a jeweled star of the Order of St. Patrick and a diamond brooch and 5 gold collars of that order. The Order of St. Patrick was founded in 1783 to reward those in high office in Ireland and Irish peers, referred to as Knights Companions, who were big supporters of the government. Mind you, this is when Britain controlled Ireland at the time when the crown jewels were created. Why the jewels were stolen isn't much of a mystery, as they were kept in a library. Who stole the jewels and what happened to them are the mysteries. There's a wide range of people, including Francis Shackleton, brother of the famous explorer Ernest Shackleton, that have been suspected of pulling off the heist. Number 12. The Florentine Diamond. In November of 1918, the royal family of Habsburg had it, but they found themselves on the losing end of World War I. The family deposited the pink gem in a bank vault in Switzerland, entrusting it to an Austrian lawyer named Bruno Steiner, who was supposed to help the deposed royal family sell it and other royal jewels. What happened next remains unclear though. There are news reports published in 1924 that indicate that Steiner was arrested, charged with fraud, and acquitted. It's quite possible that the Florentine diamond was recut sometime after World War I and is now a series of smaller diamonds, and if that's the case, this is one treasure that's definitely lost forever. Number 11. The Peking Man. In 1923, the fossil of a hominid that is sometimes called the Peking Man, which is a form of Homo erectus, was discovered in a cave near the village of Zhuhaidian, close to Beijing, which is at the time called Peking, hence the name of the fossil. The fossils disappeared in 1941 during the Japanese invasion of China, and no one actually knows what happened to them. Some have theorized that they're lost at sea while being transported to the United States, others think they may actually be located under a parking lot in China. Why no one thought of looking under that parking lot to this day is the real mystery here. Number 10. The Lost Raphael Painting. The Italian painter Raphael Sanzio, often simply called Raphael, painted this striking portrait of a young man on an oil canvas. A lot of mystery surrounds this painting. For one, no one actually knows who the subject was. No one also knows when Raphael made this painting, and today no one knows the painting's whereabouts. The painting was owned by the Czartoryski Museum in Krakow, Poland, in September of 1939 when the German army invaded Poland. Nazi officials stole the painting from the museum, as they're ought to do, and wanted to display it in the planned art gallery at Linz, which was never actually built. The painting was last seen in Hans Frank's chalet in Neuhaus on Lake Charles, Germany, in January of 1945. However, Frank was tried, convicted, and put to death for the war crimes he committed during World War II, and the location of the painting died along with him. Number 9. The Royal Casket. Despite its name, this thing doesn't contain the remains of a long-dead member of the royal family. It actually contains a collection of priceless artifacts that once belonged to the ruling families of Poland. It was put together by Princess Isabella in 1800. The casket's contents included jewels worn by the kings of Poland, works of art, and other mementos. The same year the collection was put together, Poland had ceased to exist as an independent state, having been divided up among the various other powers in the region. Poor Poland, always getting picked on. The royal casket would eventually fall victim to another group of invaders. It was seized again by Nazi Germany after they invaded Poland in September of 1939. Its contents are now lost, and hopefully, though, not forever. Number 8. Michelangelo's Mask of a Faun. Take a look at this photo really carefully because this just might be the first and the last time you'll see this magnificent work of art. This marble piece, called the Mask of a Faun, was created by Michelangelo di Lodovico Buonarroti Simoni, or as he is more commonly known as Michelangelo. It represents the face of a faun, a half-man, half-goat creature from the Greek mythology. The mask was stolen in August of 1944 from Castello di Papi in Tuscany, where it was on loan from the Bargello Museum in Florence. Who were the thieves? Well, since this happened in Europe in 1944, I'll give you one guess. Alright, if you said Hitler's army, then you're absolutely correct. The mask was stolen sometime between August 22nd and 23rd, and was put on a truck and was never seen again. Number 7. The Treasures of Nimrud. The ancient city of Nimrud, which previously existed in modern-day Iraq, was the capital city of the Assyrian Empire during the reign of Ashurnasirpal II. He built a new palace at Nimrud along with other amenities, and of course, filled it with all sorts of treasure. The succeeding centuries weren't kind to Nimrud, though. While there are many treasures at Nimrud that have been destroyed, others are simply damaged and can be reconstructed, and still others may be found on the black market. Number 6. The Lost Camera of George Mallory. British explorer George Mallory and Andrew Irvine disappeared on June 8th of 1924 while making a push for the peak of Mount Everest, trying to be the first persons to conquer the mountain. It is believed that a sudden snowstorm was the cause of their doom, though. Mallory's remains were only found in 1999, and it looks like a fall might have killed them. However, the bigger question is whether they were able to reach the summit or not. Irvine's body has unfortunately never been found. If and when it is found, it's quite possible that the camera that the two brought with them will also be found. If the film in the camera is still in okay condition, then it's still possible that it could be developed, and the question of whether Mallory and Irvine made it to the top of Everest before dying can be solved. Number 5. The Story of the Kelly Gang. No, it's not a book. It's actually regarded by many as being the world's first feature-length film. Running at over an hour long, the movie depicted the story of the 19th century outlaw Ned Kelly and his gang. Being the first of its kind, the movie was a massive success when it opened in Melbourne, Australia in 1906, and was seen enthralling audiences across the country. You would think that such a vital part of film history would be kept protected under lock and key, but that's unfortunately not the case. The film was never properly preserved, and by the 1970s, only a few bits of photos and publicity materials remain. A few bits and pieces of film do remain, and modern restoration techniques have somehow restored about a quarter of the film. While there is a possibility that a surviving copy of the film may be hidden somewhere, unless it's found, the rest of the movie is lost forever. Number 4. The First Century Gospels. The oldest surviving copies of the 4 canonical Christian Gospels, namely Mark, Luke, Matthew, and John, date back to the 2nd century AD. However, many other scholars think that some, if not all, of these Gospels were initially written in the second half of the 1st century AD. If that's the case, how come the Vatican, who is notorious for keeping even the oldest artifacts in their secret archives, not have a copy of them? Well, in 2015, scholars were reported that they had found a fragment of the Gospel of Mark within the remains of a mummy mask, which they believe date back to the 1st century. A combination of carbon dating, the style of the handwriting on the fragments, and a study of the other documents found in the mask provided scholars with the 1st century date. However, this text has yet to be published. Number 3. The Lost Library of the Moscow Tsars. The legendary library of the Moscow Tsars supposedly contained a vast collection of Greek texts dating back to ancient times, along with other texts written in a variety of other languages. It was the Grand Duchy of Moscow who supposedly built the library, which by the 16th century was already quite a large facility. There are those who claim that Ivan the Terrible somehow managed to hide the library's texts. Of course, there have been many people who have tried to find this supposedly hidden library, but so far the searchers have come up empty-handed. Now it's time for today's best pick. Today's best pick is quite literally an Easter egg hunt, and nobody has seemed to have found them yet in about 100 years. Find out what I'm talking about next with number 2. The Romanov Easter eggs. Between 1885 and 1916, jewelry company Faberge created about 50 ornately decorated Easter eggs, which were created for the Russian imperial family. If you have even a passing knowledge of Faberge eggs, you'll know how stunning these eggs could be. Or you could at least know how to pronounce it, unlike me. 10 eggs were produced from 1885 to 1893, during the reign of Emperor Alexander III. 40 more were created during the rule of his son, Nicholas II, 2 each year, one for his mother, the second for his wife. The Russian Revolution led to the execution of Nicholas II, the last Tsar of Russia. Also, most of the Romanov family. In the aftermath of the massacre, some of these 50 eggs are now missing. Some are even rumored to be parts of private collections all over the world. Before we move on, do me a favor. My analytics show that only about 15% of you watching are actually subscribed. Come on guys, what's up with that? Can you guys please hit the subscribe button? You guys watch my videos every day anyway, so you might as well subscribe and keep up to date with every video we put out. Number 1. The Ark of the Covenant. The Ark of the Covenant is probably the single most important artifact in Christianity. Another one would be the Holy Grail, but many think that there wasn't a cup at all, so let's not get into that. According to the Hebrew Bible, it was a chest that held tablets engraved with the 10 Commandments. The chest was kept in a temple built by King Solomon and stayed there for centuries. The temple, also called the First Temple, was the most sacred site on earth for the Jewish people. But it was destroyed in 587 BC when the Babylonians, led by King Nebuchadnezzar II, conquered Jerusalem and sacked the city. It is unclear what happened to the Ark of the Covenant, and its location has long since been a source of speculation. Some claim that it's currently in a small chapel in Ethiopia, but unless some proof is produced, it remains to be the most sought-after treasure of all time. Thanks for making it to the end of the video. Do us a favor and check out the channel's other fantastic content. 2 of them are on your screen right now. As always, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Later, everybody!